think the challenge is sorted out now. So Reverend Engineer, don't worry, God has heard the prayers, even though the rest of us could not hear you. God has heard all those prayers, so thank you very much. So we'll continue with the rest of the program. So on behalf of the Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Mr. Kwafezi, I want to welcome all of you to today's Facts Behind the Figures, which is going to be presented by Intravenous Infusions PLC. And Facts Behind the Figures is a program that has been designed by the Ghana Stock Exchange for listed companies to update various stakeholders on their performance, the market trends, and then what plans they have to drive the companies forward. So today is the turn of Intravenous Infusions PLC, and we are excited to have the Managing Director, Mr. Mukhtar Swalihu, and his team of executives to deliver the presentation. Mr. Swalihu will be ably supported by his executives. So we have Reverend Dr. Eugenia Bule, who is the General Manager for Finance and Administration, and Reverend Kenneth Aja Awudi, who is the General Manager for Technical and Operations. And then we have Mr. Edward Isaka, the General Manager for Marketing. So they will be supporting Mr. Swalihu today. So before I hand over to them, I also want to introduce the GNC team who are on this call today. So we have on the call our Deputy Managing Director, Ms. Abnamwa. We have Mr. Frank Bell, who is the Head of Finance. We have Mrs. Diana Okine, who is the Head of Strategy and International Relations. We have Mr. Augustine Simmons, who is the Head of Ghana Fixed Income Market. We have Mrs. Joyce Isipuachi, who is the Head of Listing and New Products. We have Mrs. Harriet Basmosis, who is the Head of Trading and Surveillance. We have Mr. Eric Edifo, who is the Head of IT. We have the HR and Admin Manager, Mrs. Eileen Norty, rest of the GNC team. So I'll now hand over to Mr. Swalihu and his team to do us the honors by taking us through the presentation. So over to you. Thank you.
Good morning, Jerry, and the rest of the team at Ghana Stock Exchange. We are grateful for your participation in this program. On behalf of the board, management, and staff of Intravenous Infusions PLC, it is my pleasure to welcome all of you, particularly our cherished shareholders, investors, players in the security market or the security industry, and also our friends in the brokerage industry. We will start this presentation by first of all looking at the content. The content, that is to say, what we are presenting to our cherished investors and shareholders. We'll look at the corporate information, we'll look at the products that we offer as a company, we'll look at the financial highlights 2021, then we'll look at the outlook for 2022 and beyond. And after that, we'll take questions and answers and other contact information that we can make available. Ladies and gentlemen, Intravenous Infusions Limited was established in 1969, started operations as a factory producing infusions in 1974. We became a public company by formally listing on the Ghana Stock Exchange in 2015. We are the first pharmaceutical company to produce both large and small volume injectables in Ghana and West African sub-region. Our main activity is production and distribution of infusions for therapeutic purposes. We are located in Kufridua, but we have about 5 distribution outlets in Ghana. We have an office in Accra, we have an office in Kumasi, Takoradi, and Tamale. Our clientele base are particularly hospitals, institutions under the Ghana Health Service, private hospitals, as well as government quasi institutions such as the police hospital, the 37 military hospital, VRA Hospital, and other faith-based hospitals such as the Catholic hospitals and SDA hospitals. Our products that we offer to the market are categorized into the following. We have the IV fluids. Basically, the ones that we do is dextrose solutions, dextrose saline solutions, sodium chloride solutions, polysaline lactate solutions, polysaline dextrose solutions, special solutions. We also offer to the market administrative sets, consists of infusion-given sets, blood-given sets. We also offer small volume injectables such as magnesium sulfate 50%, 20%, petidine injection, and Kuni injection. Ladies and gentlemen, the other products that we do include hand sanitizers, rubbing alcohol, and methylated spirit. The macroeconomic review. As we are all aware, 2021 is one of the years that is part of our immediate post-COVID recovery. In 2021, the Nigeria GDP grew by 5.4% from our initial 0.4% recorded in 2020. Inflation was around 10.4%. In 2020, it was 12.6%. Treasury bills and all the other indicators all show to a little bit of a decline from 14.08 to 13.61. All these impacted on our operations as a company. Now, let's look at the financial highlights. The very key ones are as follows. We have the revenues. We did 22.67 million cedis in 2021, representing about 9.69% growth year on year. Gross profit was 10.63 million, growing by 4.43%. Our net profit before tax was 1.43 million, also recording a growth of 5.1%. Shareholder fund increased from 17.9 million to 18.29 million, also registering a growth of about 1.94%. Return on equity was 6.27% from our initial 8.09%. Total assets grew to 46.55% from originally 37.33% in 2020, recording a year-on-year growth of 24.68%. Our earnings per share, was 0.42, and year-on-year growth, we recorded a decline of negative 20.75. Return on asset grew by 3.08%, and this year we didn't declare dividend in respect of last year, as announced at the AGM. This information is presented in a bar chart as indicated. Ladies and gentlemen, let's look at the trend of the last 5 years. From 2017 to 2021, revenue grew from 16,392,000 to 22,670,000, representing 38.48% growth. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the trend of growth, we can see that in 2020, we had a slump. We have a decline in growth by 10.47%, and that was the immediate effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. Then we started recovering, and in 2021, we registered a growth of 9.69%. Ladies and gentlemen, looking at our gross profit trend, we can see clearly that from 2017 to 2021, we have experienced a consistent decline in growth. And this is a manifestation of increase in competition at the marketplace, from 61.5% in 2017 to 46.9% in 2021. This is presented in the graph, 5-year audited financial graph, as indicated. Ladies and gentlemen, looking at year-on-year review, we can find that our revenue grew by 9.469%. Our cost of sale went up by 14.79%, and gross profit increased by 4.43%. Ladies and gentlemen, we have profit before tax growing by 5.1% declining by 5.1% from 1,432,464 to 1,362,978. Ladies and gentlemen, profits after tax show an increase from 1,146,349 to 1,450,885. On the asset front in the balance sheet, ladies and gentlemen, as indicated, total asset grew by 24.68. Total equity and liability also grew the same. But the significant thing is that our non-current liabilities grew from 13,806,378 to from 8,060,063 to 13,807,378, representing 71.31% increase. Our stated capital and reserves grew by 1.94% from 17,940,057 to 18,287,878. Ladies and gentlemen, the outlook for Intravenous Infusions Limited from 2022 and beyond are as follows. We would like to continue to maintain the growth in revenue, and we expect that by 2022, revenue should be crossing 30 million line from the current 22.6 million. Then we also think about developing downstream business in the pharmaceutical value chain and continue our product diversification strategies. Developing internal capability into product research and development with a view to broadening the product base. We'll also continue the activities aimed at putting up our new production facility. We'll increase exports operations by leveraging on the benefits that is offered by African Continental Free Trade Area and ECOWAS trade liberalization schemes, the benefits that are offered in terms of promoting export. IIPLC will take advantage of that. We aim to increase our market share from the current levels to 60% in the next 2 years. Our collaboration with government will continue to see how we can address the cash flow challenges that is faced by the industry. We'll continue the current retooling process exercise, and that includes the installation of new acquired plant and machinery. Our appeal will continue to go to government to see how we can support the local production of infusions and reduce the import of infusion into the country. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of management and staff, this is the end of our presentation, and we'll pause here and take questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Swahili, for your presentation. So before we go to the Q&A session, I want to acknowledge all the participants who have joined us this morning for Facts Behind the Figures program. So I want to acknowledge various shareholders, our stockbrokers, fund managers, pension fund managers, dealers, corporate trustees, academia, CSB, Youth Invest, Young Investor Network, who are our youth investor education partners, custodians, regulators, registrars, our friends from the bank and insurance fraternity, investing public and media. So I want to acknowledge all of you and thanks so much for joining us. The floor is now open for questions. So you can put your questions in the text box or Q&A box, or you can raise your hand and we'll call you for you to ask your question. The team, Mr. Swahili and his team are ready to respond to all your questions and your comments. So the floor is now open for questions. Thank you. So we have our first question from Laurentia Asante. So Laurentia is asking, what percentage of revenue was driven by volume growth and price change? What percentage of revenue was driven by volume growth and price change? And then the second question is, what caused the decline in both gross and net margins for 2021? What caused the decline in both gross and net margins for 2021? And then he's also asking, can you speak to the current competitive landscape of the business? So this is a pack 3-in-1 question, and I'm sure Mrs. Riley. So I'm sure you can take the first 3 questions whilst we wait for the other questions to drop.
Second question.
So the second question is, what caused the decline in both gross and net margins for 2021?
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for the question. Yes, overall growth rate was about 9.69%. If we break it down, volume growth is about 6.4%. And then the remaining 3.2% is as a result of price change. Now, if we come to why we have a decline in gross margin and net margins, as I said earlier on, if you look at the trajectory of the business from 2017, you can see that gross margins have been declining consistently. And this explains the fact that prices in the industry have started going down. So once the price is going down, what it means is that your gross margins are also going to begin to go down. Why is the prices are going down in the industry? It's going down because there has been an increase in competition in the landscape. We have new players coming into the scene. At the moment, we used to have only 2 companies doing manufacturing of infusions in the country. But as we speak now, we have about 4 companies doing manufacturing of infusions. At the same time, we also have imports that a number of pharmaceutical companies have also gone into the importation of infusions into the country. All of these competitive pressures has put pressure on the price. And over the period, we have noticed consistent decline in price of the major products. So, as said already, which I have mentioned, competitive landscape, there has been an increase in competition in the industry, as I mentioned earlier. We have a number of new players coming on board. Currently, we have about 2 companies in Greater Accra producing infusions. We have 1 company in Koforidua here, which is intravenous infusions. And then in Kumasi, we have another company in Ashanti region also producing infusions. So the competitive landscape of infusion business has changed. And IIPSC is also re-strategizing to see how we can take advantage of the other segments of the value chain in the industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swahili. So there's another question from Christopher Hunt. She's asking, did you have a major role in delivering vaccinations in the COVID pandemic? So he's asking whether you played a major role in delivering vaccinations during the COVID pandemic. So that's the first question. Let's take one more. So there's also another question from Ibn Sabute of My Joy Online. Will the company take advantage of the recently launched electronic platform for the pharmaceutical industry to expand its market share as a local player? So there's a second question. So you can please go ahead and answer the 2 questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jerry. Thank you very much. Yes, intravenous infusions will play our own role in the control of the COVID-19. In November 2020, Intravenous Infusions made a donations to Nobuchi Memorial Center in Legon. And we donated almost about 50 milliliters of infusions to the center, primarily for them to use to support their research work. At the same time, we also venture into the production of sanitizers, all aimed at helping us to contain the COVID-19. In terms of vaccines, Intravenous, we never manufacture vaccines for control of the COVID. But we were also looking at the landscape of the government-owned role in getting into the COVID manufacturing, which we are also seriously eyeing and pursuing. Now, the second question talks about taking advantage of the electronic platform. You know, Mr. Chairman, we have done that. We have gone to register, and we have currently also taken part in that. It is a platform that is seeking to bring all suppliers together in a common platform to actually bid for products. And I think that this one was launched by the Christian Medical Association. So we are taking advantage of it as well. But the government sector, we are yet to experience that. There are processes in place to make sure that there is electronic participation in our tender processes. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll go to the next question. Joyce Abozo is asking, what is the current market share of Intravenous Infusions PLC? And what strategies does the company seek to explore to increase its market share to 60% in the next 2 years? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the moment, our market share is around 42% of the entire market space in Ghana. We are aiming to bring this thing to 60% by deploying our own internal strategies. We want to be a cost leader in this industry. That's one of the key to create competitive advantage for the business. We want to make sure that we drive down costs as low as possible in order to be able to achieve this increased market share. Now, how do we do that? We are doing that by making sure that we upgrade our current processes that can help us to increase output, then at the same time also help to reduce costs. Once we do that, then it means the market will respond. Obviously, as we are aware, Intravenous has got a history behind it. We have a brand name in the market that no company has when it comes to infusions. And that brand name is driving the market very, very well for the company. So we are very hopeful that the 60% is achievable. We are not also looking at Ghana. We are one of the few companies in the country that has exploited the opportunity of markets around us. We are currently doing an export in 2022 because the whole market strategy is not only Ghana we are looking at. We are looking at the West African sub-region and beyond. And that is the reason why we have mentioned that we want to see how we can take advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area benefits as well as the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme. Because one of the things that we have noticed within the sub-region has to do with the fact that prices of medicines are very high. They are high not because producers want to make more profit, but they are high because there are taxes that are on it in the neighboring countries. So with this ETLS, it is hoped that we can reduce the price of medicine in these countries and make ourselves more competitive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swalihu. So there's another question from Joyce Abozo. Can you please provide some insight into the company's expansion into the exports? What percentage of the company's production feeds the export market? Thank you.
Thank you. At the moment, based on the current order that we are supplying, we are expecting that by the end of this year, we should be doing 25% of our total turnover for the 2022 financial year. This percentage that we hope to grow, because this is only one country that we are supplying to at the moment, with this level of, percentage of our business. So we are in talks in many countries. We are talking to customers in Benin, Togo, and other surrounding countries. So we are very hopeful that the export will play a key role in driving our future revenues. I will continue to pursue strategies to make sure that that is realized. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a question from Lauricia Asante. Lauricia wants to know what is the percentage of export sales for half year 2022. And then his second question is, what has been the major pain points with operating the business for this year? Thank you. So let me take the questions again. What is the percentage? Okay, that's fine. Please go ahead.
Okay, you can take it again, Jerry, please.
So the first one is, what is the percentage of export sales for the half year 2022? And then the second question is, what has been the major pain points with regards to operating the business for this year? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. In terms of export sales as a percentage of the total turnover for the half year, I will say that we are around 8%. We are around 8%. So we are hoping for it to grow to 25%. And the second question has to do with the what are the things that we have to do in order to realize the revenue going forward? Yes, at the moment, as we are aware, most of these business that we do is driven by tenders in the country. A number of tenders have come out, and significantly, Intravenous has won at least out of the 10 medical stores that we have in the country. We are supplying to about six of them currently, and we are hoping that the other ones will strive to get something out of that. We are also supplying to the mission hospitals. We are supplying to all the hospitals under the Ghana Health Service. So a number of strategies have been deployed, and we are hoping that by the end of the year, we should be achieving our revenue targets. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Swahili. I think there's one more question that you need to answer. She asked, what has been the major pain points with operating the business for this year? What has been the major pain points for operating the business for this year?
Jerry, if you can be clarified very well by the questioner, I think.
Okay, so she's asking what are the major challenges that you have encountered with regards to operating the business for this year. What are the major challenges that as a company you have been encountering in delivering your mandate this year?
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have challenges, definitely. From January to June, we are all aware of what is happening in the economy. We currently are suffering from exchange losses because the currency has actually depreciated by no less than 18% so far in the first half of the year. We are also facing issues of liquidity. As you are aware, the healthcare system in this country, the public healthcare system in the country, the cost of it is being underwritten by government through the National Health Insurance. And there are challenges in terms of meeting payment obligation in good time. So this, even though we don't have a direct contractual relationship with National Health Insurance, but facilities that have that with an NHIA, whom we also have contractual relationship with, is also affecting us as well. So we have challenges of cash flow. And once the cash flow challenges are there, it delays your ability to meet most of your deadlines in terms of procurement and also for production. So yes, there are challenges, obviously. The exchange rate is one, as I mentioned. Inflation also is driving up prices of local inputs, because most of about 20-25% of our costs in terms of the product, we buy most of those things locally, and prices have started escalating. So there are pressure points this year, there are challenges this year, and we are hoping to see how we can drive revenues and also take all other measures to reduce its effects by the end of the year. But as we speak now, the exchange loss is one of our major issues for the first half of this year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for those responses. See that. Okay. So there are a few questions here, and the people asking the questions want to remain anonymous. So turnover per share reached its all-time high of 9 pesos in 2019 and has declined to 7 pesos. So GHS 8 pesos for 2020 and 2021 respectively. Within that same period, inventories and trade receivables also increased, while operating receivables declined to 0 as per the cash flow. Will you say it was strategically right to pay dividends of 1.2 million and 710,000 for 2020 and 2021 respectively for the said periods when the cash cycle was visibly on the downtrend? At your last pass behind the figures, Intravenous promised to look at the Ghana fixed income market as an alternative to raising long-term capital. Can you provide any updates on this one?
All right, thank you very much, Jerry. With respect to the dividend, yes, it's true that there were all indications that the cash flows were on the downward stream. But I think that it's very important that at any point in time, the company demonstrates its ability to take care of its shareholders. And that is the reason why we find that there's a need for us, especially where you realize that what you are paying out will not be too much to be able to affect your programs. And I think that's exactly what we did in 2020 and 2021. As a result of the fact that we are not seeing so much improvement in the front of the liquidity, in 2022, annual general meeting, I think that the company decided that we will not pay dividend because we need to focus on the current projects that we are carrying out, which are all aiming at improving future revenues and ensuring that the company is properly managed. So, dividend, yes, we pay in 2020, 2021, but in 2022, the dividend has not been, we are not paying dividend in 2022, 2021. If you can remind me on the second question. Jerry?
Second question is, at your last pass behind the figures, you promised to look at the Ghana fixed income market as an alternative to raising long-term capital. So, any update on that one? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have not closed the door to that. We are still observing that. It is not only that one that we are looking at. We are looking at a number of options to have a proper mix in the capital structure. So we are looking into situations where we can raise long-term debt that can go for 10 and 15 years. We are also looking at probably getting the banks to get short-term for day-to-day. So all in all options are still open for the company to look into in terms of our ability to raise funds to finance the business. But we have not yet made significant progress on this particular one, but our eyes are still on it as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There's also a number of questions here. For the planned new factory that I intend to build, when is it planned to be built? And so that's the first question. Then the second question is, how much more will it add to the existing production capacity? So that's the second question. And then the third question is, how do you plan to fund it? So these are the three questions. If you want me to go over them again. So the first one is the new factory that I intend to build. When do you plan to get it built? And then secondly, how much more will it add to your existing production capacity? And then the third question is, how do you plan to fund this, this factory you intend to build? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jerry. Thank you very much. Building a factory is a different process altogether from any other structure that you want to build, because this is a facility that is regulated, and you have to make sure that whatever processes you are taking to put up the building must be in line with the current protocols. Yes, we mentioned last year that we are in it. We are still in it. As we speak now, the drawings that we have done is going through CGMP review outside the country. We are hoping that when we get the results, we floated tenders, and there was some participation in the tenders, and contractors were about to be appointed. So we are hoping that by the next year, we should see some visible signs that the factory is coming up. Now, with respect to the capacity, yes, what we are doing, not that we are only doing in terms of compliance reasons, but we are also doing this new factory for expansion reasons. And as you are aware, currently, our production capacity is hovering around 7.5 million. But with the new factory coming on board, we expect that we will have about 15 million to 60 million units of infusion to be produced. Thank you very much. The other one is the funding. Yes, the funding, as I mentioned, currently, I will say that EcoBank has given us a promise to fund about 70% of the project. But at the same time, we are also looking around to see if we can get other funding on board. But what has been actually confirmed with our bankers is about 70% of the project. So we are hoping that by the time we start the real construction processes, we might have sorted out the remaining 30% funding that is required. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I'm checking chat box to see if we have some more questions. So currently, do not have questions in the chat box. Okay, so there's a question in the chat box. Will you consider additional equity capital? Is it an option you want to look at?
Thank you very much. Yes, equity is also an option. As I said, we need to have a capital structure that will give comfort to shareholders, definitely. So if we get to a point where we realize that our borrowing is going to go beyond what shareholders can bear, then it means we will have to consider equity. It is also it's on the table for discussion at the board level, at the management and the board level. So we'll consider equity as well, because such kind of investment, equity would have been appropriate, but it's difficult to raise equity now. But we are very sure that if we demonstrate that we are going to use a mix of funds to do it, I think shareholders will come on board. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Swallow, with regards to the cost of doing business in Ghana, do you think if you put up a new factory, you'll still be able to run the factory efficiently to compete with other players in the market, and especially those people who are importing in terms of your cost of production. How certain are you that you'll be able to compete favorably with your competitors?
Yeah, thank you very much, Jerry. I think that is a very legitimate question. In business, where your competitor cost of production is lower than you, then it's bound to take over the market and leave you. But I think that, yes, we have economic problems in the country. Every industry is feeling it. But what we believe here is that these are all short-term challenges, and we are hoping that things will improve as we move on. But significantly, through the government and FDA intervention, there are discussions underway to see how we can encourage companies who are importing to rather concentrate in also building up capacity to produce infusions in the country. And also, we are also having at the PMAC, which is the Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Association of Ghana level, where discussions are ongoing to see how those who are importing, we can find strategies to get them to our side as producers so that they'll be buying from us and be selling in the local market instead of bringing them from elsewhere. So we think that going forward, there's going to be a lot of collaboration between the industry players and government to ensuring that we do not allow these imports to come to kill our industries. So we are in discussions with the importers at some level where we are trying to build partnerships with them to ensure that we produce for them so that they can market the products in Ghana here instead of bringing them elsewhere. And when we get there, I think that infusions will be probably be stopped from being imported into the country. We'll get to that stage.
Thank you. So there's a question from Rukayat Musa. How has the Russia-Ukraine war affected your source of raw materials? And going forward, what would the company do to increase local raw material sourcing?
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, the Russian-Ukrainian war, if you look at the raw material we use PVC for one of our primary packages. Yes, PVC comes from petroleum. So obviously, if you have petroleum prices going up all over the world, then it means that you should also be bracing yourself for increases in the cost. Yes, it has an impact on us because we have some recent increases in the prices. At the same time, the Russian-Ukraine war is, once it's affecting petroleum, it means that at the pump level, everybody's affected. And we run very heavy machinery here that uses energy to run. So obviously, we are acquiring these things at very, very, very high cost. So definitely, there is an impact on our operations that we cannot deny.
Thank you. So there's a question, there are two questions from Lauricia Asante. She's asking, what percentage of raw materials are sourced outside? So that's the first question. And then second question is, can you speak to the Intravenous ESG impacts undertaking for full year 2021? I'm sure ESG is environmental, social, and governance. So can you speak to whatever you are doing as a company with regards to environmental, social, and governance initiatives and how it impacted your full year 2021? Thank you.
Okay, take the social environmental. Jerry, I want my GM technical to take the environmental bit.
That's fine, thank you.
Jerry, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but if you can please speak, if you can please increase your voice a bit. Please go ahead.
Okay, well, it's okay now.
Hello.
This is better.
Thank you. Jerry, thank you very much for the question. with regards to social impact activity, we try to collaborate with academia. We help students to do attachment at intravenous. We help to develop their talent and their potential so that they will also be useful in the pharmaceutical industry. We also try to create enabling environment with our immediate community so that our activity does not directly affect the environment. So we behave responsibly and make sure that whoever is around us is safe. We provide other amenities like water for the immediate schools around us. They come and take water and they feel comfortable living with us. Thank you.
Jerry, what I will also add is I think that our activity is heavily regulated by Environmental Protection Agency. And I think that they come periodically to assess the impact of our activities on the environment. And I can say that every year we have our EPA certificate issued to us that indicate that we've been behaving responsibly over the years. Thank you very much.
Thank
Now,
you. So
hello.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, Jerry, with respect to the first question before the last one we answered, there was a question regarding about what percentage of our raw material is coming from the local. I think that what we do here, the primary ingredient and packaging, the material comes from outside. I would say that we bring about 65% of our raw material from outside and 35% are coming from the local. But as we move along and the local, environment, we build capacities, I think that we will begin to see how we can source locally. But for now, we don't seem to have a local producer of some of the things that we need for producing these products.
Thank you. So we have some questions in the chat box. So what percentage of the current 7.5 million capacity is being utilized? So that's the first question. What opportunities in the downstream value chain are you going after? Diversify your revenue streams.
All right. Thank you very much.
There's a third question, so I want to read also that I can take all the three out. What percentage of the market represents imported products? What percentage of the market represents imported products? So thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jerry. With respect to what are we realizing from the current capacity of the 7.5? We are doing currently between 52 to 55% of the capacity of the machines. So that is where we are now. There are some constraints that we need to remove along the way to help us to be able to fully explore the 7.5%, which is part of why we have brought down some equipment to see how some of them can be fixed so that we'll begin driving revenues from them whilst we wait for the new factory to come on stream. So at the moment, we have a machine that we call Autoclave. We are going to install it. It's being under installation right now so that it can open up the capacity more for us, especially that we have now gone into the export market. It will require that we open up the capacity more to be able to contain the two market segments. That is the export market and the local market. The other question. With respect to imported products in the market, I think that with the combined capacity of the 4 companies that are currently doing production, I can say that the imported infusions into the country will not be more than 15% of the entire market segment. But the last research that we have undertaken is around 10 to 15%.
Okay, thank you. So if you can also answer this one. What opportunities in the downstream value chain are you going after to diversify your revenue streams?
Thank you very much, Jerry. Absolutely. At the moment, we are at the upstream doing manufacturing and wholesaling, but we are noticing that there is a lot of, returns that we can also get if we put ourselves to the downstream. And it has become a strategy almost every major company in the pharma business is undertaking. The major one that we are looking at is we want to set up retail pharmacy shops across all the operational areas. So, because at that level, apart from the fact that it helps you to increase return to shareholders, it also helps you to be able to solve some of your liquidity challenges. Because if at the moment we are selling and we are not being paid in good time, if you have a pharmacy shop where you can even not only trade in your own products, you can trade in other companies' products. It serves as a very good vehicle for you to solve your liquidity problem and also provide the decent return to shareholders. So putting up pharmacy shops, retail pharmacy shops across the market segments is one of our key strategies that we'll be looking at in the next 1 or 2 years, in the next 2 years' time, in the next 2 years. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I think we do not have any more questions in the chat box. So we'll give Mr. Swalihu, we'll give you the opportunity to share with us your final words, and then we continue with the rest of the program.
All right, thank you very much, Jerry. On behalf of the board, management, and staff of Intravenous Infusions, would like to thank everybody who participated in today's discussion. It is our responsibility as management to ensure that we put our utmost best to make sure that the company operates profitably so that shareholders can get returns for their investments, which we want to assure shareholders that we'll continue to apply ourselves very well, and also make sure that we'll continue to apprise them of development in the company so that it can inform them in their investment strategic choices. So I would like to say thank you to everybody for participating in the program today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Swalihu and team. We will now take the closing remarks from our Deputy Managing Director, Ms. Abnamwa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Good morning, everyone. Can you confirm if you can hear me, Jerry?
Yes, Abna, we can hear you loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Mr. Swalihu, thank you and your team for a very engaging discussion this morning. And thanks to all our attendees who asked very, very interesting and thought-provoking questions this morning. The GSE, at first I want to share a little bit about the Ghana Stock Exchange's performance so far this year. On the equities market, like many stock markets around the world, we are down this year. As at yesterday, our composite index, which tracks the performance of all the securities on the equities markets, is down about 11.66%. And this is a trend we've seen everywhere, or most places around the world, due to the economic challenges the entire world is facing. But despite that, we've seen a lot of activity on the equities market, so that as at yesterday, we had traded over 1 billion Ghana cedis year to date, and that is the largest or the highest value trade that the market has seen since inception. And that over 1.1 billion Ghana cedi traded is about 240% above what we traded the same period last year. A lot of the trades have come, of course, on the back of MTN, but we've also seen that across board, there's been trades in many of the companies. On the debt market, the Ghana fixed income market, it's been also a very interesting year. It's a very liquid market that we set up about 7 years ago. And on the debt market, as at yesterday, we have traded over 135 billion volume of securities, 24% up compared to the same period last year. At the GSE so far this year, we've listed one company, Asante Gold, which is of great pride to us because it's a large domestically owned company, gold mining company that has cross-listed on the market. For our relationship with Intravenous, it goes as far back as 2015. We are very lucky to have intravenous infusions on our alternative market, the GACS market. And for us, our main purpose has been to become a relevant market to our national economic development, to entrepreneurs' dreams of growing their companies. And for us, we're very heartened. It was very encouraging to see Intravenous join our market, raise capital, and invest in the business. This is a segment we continue to look at and work on and look at how we can improve the Ghana Alternative Exchange market, which was set up to provide a solution for our SME sector, how they are able to attract long-term capital to do all the expansions that they need to do and create jobs. And so for us at the GSE, since last year, we have taken note of how we revamp our GACS market. We've taken a top consultant who has had experience in other countries helping to grow that segment. Our team have held study tours to Jamaica to see how we can spearhead and spur growth on the market so that the number of companies that are listed on that grows from the current 6 to at least 30 companies on the GACS market in the medium term. We'll engage the market on some of the initiatives we are looking at introducing on the GACS market to make that market viable and to play its role of being the preferred platform for raising long-term equity and for providing investors safe, regulated avenue to invest in growing stocks. ESG reporting is an important initiative for the market, and I was happy to see the questions from the panelists around that. As many of you may know, we have partnered with the Global Reporting Initiative to come up with ESG reporting guidelines for the market, which we will be sensitizing many of you about so that you can begin reporting according to global ESG standards. Our fixed income market remains dear to us to grow that into an area where corporates can come and raise long-term patient bonds as well. So far on that market, corporates have raised over 13 billion Ghana cedis in 7 years. 13 billion Ghana cedis compared to 6 billion Ghana cedis on the equity market in 32 years. It tells us that there's a lot of room for corporates to use our fixed income market to raise 5-year, 10-year money and fund some of their development. So we remain committed to developing that market to meet our corporate investors and issuers' needs. Final initiative for us at the GSE remains our investor education and investor literacy programs. Emboldened investors, informed investors are the ones that will grow this market. And that's why this program, the facts behind the figures, is so important for us in our arsenal of tools where we bring issuers in front of investors to explain their growth patterns, their growth objectives to them, so that the investors have a tool to use, or they have information to back their investments and trading decisions. So I'd like to really say a big thank you to Mr. Swahilihu and the team. Last year you came to share with the market. This year you've come again, and we commend you for your commitment to continue to engage with investors on the market to educate them and to give them information to trade in your securities. You will hear a lot from the Ghana Stock Exchange in the next few months till the end of the year, where we've partnered with the Ghana Securities Industry Association, the Central Securities and Depository Ghana, and the SEC Ghana to step up our investor literacy program. So please look out on TV, on radio, on social media for the programs we are launching to educate ourselves and to advocate for investments in the country. I want to say a very big thank you to all our participants on the call, our stockbrokers, our analysts, our fund managers, our partners in financial literacy, my colleagues from the stock exchange, and of course to all of you shareholders, the investing public, and especially to Intravenous Infusions for joining us today. God be with us and wishing everyone a blessed day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abena, for closing remarks. So once again, I want to thank everybody for being part of this program. We really appreciate the time that you have spent with us this morning. So we are drawing the curtains down for today's 500 figures. So we'll take the closing prayer from Reverend Kenneth Aja Awode, who is the General Manager for Technical and Operations. So over to you, Reverend Ken.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Shall we pray? Our Father in heaven, we thank you very much for the gift of life. We thank you for the life of our shareholders, our partners, GES members, and everyone. Father, we commit Intravenous into your hands. We ask, O God, that your grace will continue to sustain this company. Keep us growing in leaps and bounds. Our prayer, O God, that a year by this time when we come again, we have more interesting and exciting story to tell our partners and our shareholders. Grant us the strength, grant us the wisdom, whatsoever, O God, we need to grow this company. Lord, make it available unto us. At the end, your name will be glorified. This is our humble prayer this morning. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. So thank you very much. Once again, thanks to everyone for joining us for this morning 500 figures. That was presented by Intravenous Infusions PLC. So thank you very much, and we wish you all the best. Enjoy the rest of today. Bye-bye to all.
All right. Thank you.